Hi folks. Is it Wednesday? Yes, I do believe it's Wednesday. Hello Sweden, hello Greece. Let me know if I'm talking too loud. I have headphones and I'm listening to music. And wanted to go live today because it's been like a week and a half of silence. And just wanted to check in and stream a little. I'm going to be roasting off some sweet potatoes as well as onions that I bought yesterday. Hello Philippines and Canada. I'm gonna take my socks off. It is really hot in New York City today. We are hitting 80s. Way too hot for April. Hello Moscow, Canada, world. California, Romania, wow, an international crowd today. In addition to roasting some potatoes, I'm gonna be making some sort of grain pudding. Look, Grandma keeps giving me milk. I've been trying to drink them. It's giving me lactose intolerant bloating. There's a lot of milks, guys. We have to start cooking with them because when I just drink it straight, it hurts. So we've entered a new stage of June's life where she is at the age where she has to take this multiple times a day, every day. That's all. Anna Maria, I'm so bad at flags. I'm so sorry. I don't know what country that is. This is like peak ignorant American June. She doesn't know flags. She doesn't know maps. But hello, it's a beautiful flag. You have half a block of tofu and you need a quick meal. Soup? Or roast it and then sauce it? Just drench it in ketchup and mayo. Call it a day after you roast it. Sear it. Currently having a slight panic attack. I don't know what's causing your panic attack, but the first thing to do is to breathe. Like, bring yourself back to the present. Let's bring a bowl for you. Ready? We're gonna breathe in. We're just gonna listen to the ding, okay? Let go of everything because it does not matter. You are projecting into the past or flying into the future, both of which do not currently physically harm you. So. Oh, that was bad. That was terrible. That's probably what your panic attack sounds like. Let's try another one. All right, ready? We all need do-overs. I've been doing this exercise every day with Grandma when I visit her. We do a body check, we do a body scan, and we breathe into the parts of the body that feel the most tension first. So this requires you to tune into yourself, first and foremost, letting go of your mental thoughts for now. We can come back to them later. But physically, feeling the parts of your body that hold tension, pain, aches, strains, and tension. So right now, I feel tension in my wrist and my hand because I'm holding this bowl at a very weird angle. I feel a lot of pain and ache in my lower belly because I'm bloated from all the milk that I drank. I feel slight dull ache in my neck because I strained it last week. And I feel some soreness in my knees because I just got back from the gym and I probably didn't do forms right on my squats. So in recognizing those parts of my body not feeling quite right, I'm going to put this bowl down after one more ding. Ready? Breathe in. Let it ring throughout your body. Okay. So I'm going to put this bowl down and I'm going to try to bring my body into alignment with itself in whatever position that feels the most neutral to me. So it may be different for everyone. You can do the standing, sitting, lying down against your wall. I like to do it lying on the floor with my legs up on the wall at a 90-degree angle with my body sometimes, so that you could just release some of the tension by inverting your body somewhat. But I'm going to try to just breathe into the parts of my body that I felt tightness and aches and strains in, one at a time. So I'm going to bring it into my stomach first, because my stomach hurts the most. And yeah, maybe you do need to poop. And just breathing into my stomach will not relieve the bloating, because obviously there's some shit going on in there that I don't know how to fix right now. That may be psychosomatic, it may be biological, it may be a food reaction, it may be a stress condition, it may be anxiety, it may be all of those. But just bringing awareness to that part of the body and signaling to myself that I know that something is not quite right, but that it's okay, and that I'm paying attention to it. And I'm doing my best to relax it as much as I can in the moment, and whatever I can't do, I'll have to take other steps. For example, I might need to lie down and fart. I might need to take a nap and go to sleep to relieve my stress. I might need to drink some hot water or hot tea. I might need to not drink milk anymore. And the next breath that I'm going to bring in, I'm going to send across my shoulders. And as I breathe out, I'm going to try to pull some of the tension out through the breath. And then next breath in, I try to pass it towards this side, which was holding more tension than my other side. And I feel it inflating with lightness. And I pull my breath all the way through the joints of this shoulder, this elbow, the wrist. And if I can't reach it all the way there in one breath, I let go of that breath, breathe out the old breath, breathe in the new air, and I try to stretch the air and the breath longer until I can pass it all the way through to my fingertips. And I try to align it, and I try to connect it with the breath, and try to kind of renew and flush out some of that tension with your exhale, right? So inhale with the new air, feel it kind of flush and do its wash through your body parts that are holding tension, and as you exhale, bring and draw out the tension as much as you can and repeat as needed. The back as well is tense. So I just do that throughout my entire body wherever I need to do it. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes for me to do this with Grandma every day, and it is also a time that I set aside for myself to check in with my body. I hope that helped. Panic attacks are happening because there are stressors in your life that maybe you've repressed, maybe you've been procrastinating on thinking about. The more you avoid thinking about it with clarity, the more impactful it becomes in your unconscious, and it will boil over. So obviously, if you can talk about it either to yourself or to a friend or to someone that you trust, it'll help over time. But panic attacks are a symptom, not a cause. So figure out your cause. It takes a while, so have patience. You won't always know what's exactly wrong. It might take years. So just try to be kind to yourself and realize that The panic attack is your body's way of saying, yo, something's wrong. Please pay attention to me. And so you'll start paying attention to it. And as soon as you pay attention to it in a way that is accepting of it and not contributing towards even more layers of panic by trying to push it away or avoiding it or negating it or denying it or shunning it, then the easier it'll become to diffuse the panic attacks. You need a neutralizer to diffuse the tension. So if you add oil to the fire, it won't really dampen out the fire. It'll probably just make it bigger. So, yes. Hello all. We're gonna roast some sweet potatoes. I'm gonna prep some onions. We're gonna try to make a grain pudding and cook the milk so it doesn't go to waste. I'm gonna rip some shoulder pads out of my jacket over there. The shoulder pads are very intense. I have pretty okay shoulder structure, so I don't really need that intensity. So we're just gonna do a mishmash of things. I have farm school at 6, so I'll be tapping out at 5:50. But we're gonna have an hour and 40 minutes to spend together, so happy to be here with you all on a Wednesday afternoon. I have been MIA for the last 10 days because I've been filming for the last 8. There will be a week-long food diary of sorts. I will be discussing some of my thoughts regarding disordered eating, so I will be sure to at least write a content warning in the description box. But it doesn't really focus so much on my disordered eating as much as my asexuality video did on my asexuality. It's just sort of letting the thoughts pass through me as I'm eating throughout the week, trying to be giving myself a space where I could be mindful of the things that hurt me, that have hurt me in the past, that continue to hurt me in the present, and trying to acknowledge it and not push it away, not hide it, not deny it, and not try to sugarcoat it for the performance of YouTube. These videos I find are therapeutic for me, so that is the main motivation for me to make these videos. But hopefully some others out there will enjoy it and partake in consuming it. And I do make some weird shit to eat this week. For the most part, I just bought myself fresh produce and worked off of the ingredients that are in my freezer, fridge, and pantry, which is a lot. So, bye Alice. Yeah. I'm going to be listening to this random radio on Spotify, and I'll drop some songs that I like as they pop up into the chat. That way, if you're interested, you can listen along with me. But I like having some music. So yesterday I went and bought some sweet potatoes for Grandma. I also managed to find a 2-pound bag of onions for just $1, which is a steal. Onions have gone up in price drastically. They've been at its cheapest 99 cents a pound, or sometimes I've seen it for maybe 179 cents for 2 pounds. But this is the first time in a long while I've seen 2 pounds of onions for $1, so I grabbed it. We're gonna roast it. We can freeze it after. Then I got some sweet potatoes for Grandma, which we're gonna wash and roast. Yeah, Nako, I I agree. Aside from no health insurance and the anxiety of the looming threat of poverty, being unemployed is great. Yeah, see? Capitalism. We don't need it, but it needs us. So it manipulates and hurts us so that we can be enslaved to it forever. So fucked. I've been thinking about this a lot. I really like not having a full-time job. And yes, it does feel very unsettling because it feels unnatural, because I've been brainwashed to think that a full-time job is what you need to be secure and successful and normal in society, but I'm getting used to the patterns of not having a full-time job and making just enough to pay my bills, and so far it's working out. I don't know how sustainable it'll be, but let's not worry about sustainability when we don't even know our future's certainties. We've all made our choices in life, and some things we just don't have choice over. I understand that. Your mileage may vary, of course. I'm not saying my situation will apply to everybody. I got a song share coming up for you. I think I'm gonna also pickle some of these onions. I have some pickle juice left over from my week of shooting. This has various vinegars and herbs and peppercorns and shit in there. So I don't think there's anything alive in there, but you can never be sure, huh? You can reuse store-bought pickle juice. If you want to sterilize it a little bit, I would recommend heating it up to a boil, but yeah, why not? It's so briny, it's got so much salt in it. I don't pay for my Spotify. Sorry, I don't use Apple because I don't have iPhone or an Apple account. So you'll have to copy and paste that song if you want. Can't serve everyone. It's really funny, like it's kind of, I'm trying to control my trigger points, but it is very reflexive of me to get automatically annoyed when I give people like content for free and then I immediately get feedback to make it different. You get what you get. I also doubt that Apple is that much better than Spotify. I'm sure they're gonna bust all the unions. Spotify busted their union, Apple will too, Google does too. There's no real ethical choice here, guys. The music industry is fucked, all of these industries are fucked. You can probably send the artists money directly if you want, especially the small ones. But I don't know if listening to music on different platforms will make a difference. Even Bandcamp, which has been known to pay their artists way better, is union busting right now. So even the good guys are bad guys. Because it's capitalism. I think we should all know that by now, right? I'm roasting the onions and pickling some. I don't watch Succession. I tried. Wasn't really for me. Sometimes the onions hurt, sometimes they don't. I think it depends on the onions. We're gonna preheat our oven to 375. Let me finish. I'm not using AC. Who uses AC at 80 degrees? Not me. If you like Dan, he's available. I linked his Insta in the videos that he's appeared in, so shoot your shots, girl. Hi, Norway. Hi, Oklahoma. I cut the ends off because they're tough and I don't want them there. Also, it's a steam release point. I thought about the P.O. box probably 3 times, just as I was walking. I don't think there's quite enough interest to warrant me getting one. So I'll reconsider it when we hit 250,000 subs. How about that? Might take a while. Don't hold your breath. I would not want to open my own restaurant now. The restaurant industry is terrible. It is not sustainable. I don't want to be part of that scene. Something needs to be reimagined about that whole industry before I would be willing to partake. Especially as an owner of it. No. Yeah, the pan trick. I know. I blew my own mind when that happened. That trick taught me a lot about patience. Sometimes instead of trying to force it and scraping it and scrubbing it and ending up with a huge mess and much less food, all you have to do is give it time. Sometimes we'd all just need a break. The ways in which cooking and food teach me life lessons is pretty cool. No advancement on the German husband, sadly. My content is monetized. The videos are monetized. I just, like, the ads, the ad revenue is monetization. Do you mean some other form of monetization? Need the money. That's the thing. I don't want to make people give me money that I don't need, right? This is a large part of rethinking my relationship with capitalism. And I truly appreciate viewers who are like, June, we'd love to give you money, but also untraining myself from the edicts of capitalism starts within being honest with my own desires. And I currently don't need that money, and I don't honestly want the presence of unnecessary money in my life. I also feel like when I accept money gifts from people, it creates this weird dynamic of transactional give and take, which, you know, I recognize is very much a part of living in a modern society, but I just don't need an additional layer of that beyond what I'm already doing right now. I can sell my labor in other ways, like taking on part-time freelance gigs. And I think if folks have money to just send out to me, then you certainly can send those funds out to other people who might need it more. As you can see, I have my own apartment. I'm currently not at risk of being evicted. I have enough food every day. I am very privileged. I really just don't need that. But if you're feeling generous, there are people who do need that. I haven't been to Big Reuse. I would love to go back. It's a little far from me, unfortunately. I'm also very curious regarding Pam's comment that if I'm not poor, then I must be rich. I don't know what people's criteria for that is. But for sure, I'm in the global top 10%, right? A lot of us are in the global top 10%. Compared to the rest of the world, we are all rich. It may not feel like it. I think we need to reconsider these binaries of if you're not rich, you're poor, or if you're not poor, you're rich. Like, why think about things in this way? These arbitrary definitions, these very vague abstractions of worth, they're all relative. So what function are they actually serving for us in our minds? I ended up emptying out this new jar of peppercorns by accident. I unscrewed the top. You'll get to see that in the next edited video. Now I'm paranoid about it happening again. I'm gonna put a little bit of rosemary and dill and parsley and thyme. Instead of me directing the funds to causes I feel are just, why don't you direct the funds to cause, like, what is this mentality that you must give money to me? It's a very interesting thought pattern that I've noticed in a lot of viewers. Like, they just really want to give me money, and then they don't care what I do with the money. I can give it away again. But, like, why? Why? It's so curious. Providing a service, right? And I'm glad to provide it. Call me a philanthropist. Pay it forward, folks. If you enjoy my services, pay it forward. Listen, Pam and whoever else echoes Pam's thoughts, if you want to label me as rich, you go right ahead, girl. I don't know what impact that has on me, but if it makes you feel better to label me with whatever you want, then go ahead, label me. I'm not going to argue with people about who I am. There's no point. People who need to define me need some certainty that I can't provide for them, so I'll just let them have whatever they want to believe. It's just so funny. We don't need to attack, but I do feel a little weird, you know? It does make me feel weird. It's fine though. It's fine. Feeling weird is good. It means I'm closer to unlocking some insecurity. Discomfort always signals some sort of mysteriously repressed feelings within myself. So the more exposure I have to discomforting experiences, the more I get to understand myself better. So in a lot of ways, thank you, Pam, for pushing. And guys, like, if we ever feel too offended, there's always the block and hide option. I haven't resorted to that yet because I don't feel threatened enough, but when the time comes, we shall use it. The cat is with Aaron. Fred likes Aaron more, so Fred is living with Aaron. Okay, we're gonna be making some grain porridge. Let's check out our grain situation. We can make, oh my God, what if we made milky red beans? Milky red beans. Oh my gosh, yes, yes. Red beans and split beans maybe. So at farm school like maybe a month or two ago, we were invited to bring in some dishes for like a potluck kind of lunch situation. And someone brought in this Dominican bean soup. And it's sweet and it's mush and it's delightful. There's probably condensed milk and coconut milk in there, which I don't have, but I do have that. I do have this coconut powder that we can definitely do. Let's do that. I should have soaked the red beans, but that's okay. We'll just wing it. You were so pleased with the spices from Burlap and Barrel. Yay! Tell me what you do with the kitchen pepper, because I still haven't used the kitchen pepper yet. I also feel iffy about the scallions. Like, I haven't cooked with them a whole lot. I don't really know how to use them yet, but I'm glad you like it. The sun-dried tomato powder is amazing. And the toasted onion powder is so sweet. I used it a lot. All right, I got a soothing song for you coming up. This is from one of my favorite artists. I'm gonna say she belongs in the R&B category, but she has a lot of sexy songs. I love her voice. I don't cook crab. I'm sorry. I really don't. Also, just to circle back, because I don't like it when I say something that caused people to defend me, and I understand the mechanism. Like, a lot of you are protective of me. I thank you for it. But like, when I say some kind of feedback that isn't entirely positive to a commenter, everybody like piles on top of them. So to Pam's defense, I don't think Pam was being rude or anything, but I think the line of questioning and kind of labeling me with shit that I didn't immediately feel comfortable taking on those labels made me feel judged, I guess. There's probably a lot of unconscious socioeconomic insecurities and misalignments and cognitive dissonance in me that I still don't have clarity on, so all good. It's making me think about myself and why I think and react the way that I do, so I don't think anybody was being mean. I think it was just causing a sort of reaction in me. That's all. Reactions are fine. We're gonna boil some water first. I'm gonna wash my beans. We're gonna try to boil the beans down in water before adding milk. I love it. I love us being nice to each other, y'all. It is so easy to misread. It is so easy to project. It is so easy to not give kind readings on the internet. I think we fostered this very defensive communication pattern on the internet in the last decade and a half that it's just really hard. So I love it when we can not repel each other, but still giving ourselves the space to feedback and talk and dissect and deconstruct and neutralize, right? No apologies needed. I mean, I think this whole conversation has given me more faith in our ability to communicate with each other online. It's quite amazing. I think there's enough of Twitter culture for us to never touch that can of worms here. Yeah, this would work so well with coconut milk. Absolutely. If I had coconut milk, I would use it. We love a nice stream. We don't always have to be nice all the time, but I think if we operate with the idea that we're trying to build on kindness, it would be amazing to live that way, wouldn't it? Doesn't always happen, but when it does, it makes me feel very pleasant. I believe Dan's Instagram is to live and to die in Queens. The number 2. But Google it. I don't know exactly how he spells it. Oh, you're really going for it, aren't ya? 7 degrees. I'm assuming that's Celsius, huh? Yeah, substitute any milk you want. Any milk. I'm using cow's milk, but I'm adding in some coconut powder because I like the coconut flavor and I have it and it's expired and I should use it. But substitute, you can literally make it with water and just add in some sort of other fat to make it richer. I would probably recommend going in with some almond milk. That might be really good. Like homemade almond milk would be pretty fantastic, probably. Oat milk. I don't know. Whatever you got. Whatever you want to use. Soy milk? Why not? Beans on beans. I am also going to make some chai. And we're gonna make it with this mystery spice. I don't really know what's in here anymore, so I'm gonna use it up. Okay? Like, probably way too much. Like, maybe a whole tablespoon of this in there. And we're gonna use up this bagged tea. This English breakfast from Tea Pigs. I'm gonna use 2 of these bags. We're gonna toast it a little bit with the sugar. I do usually same amount of sugar as the amount of tea, so I'll just go in with about 3 tablespoons, I guess. I guess I could soften the beans in the Instant Pot, but I just want to see them cook. I just really like to see beans cook sometimes. I opened my tea bags because they are in this nylon sachet. These fancy nylon sachets release microplastic particles when you throw them into a boiling solution. And I want full contact of tea leaves with all of my liquids. So. Chai does not taste good in my opinion if you do not use enough sugar while cooking it. So if you're gonna make chai, use the sugar, or don't. I mean, it's your choice, but this is the way I make chai. Oh my gosh, the dill cooking with the onions in the olive oil smells almost like cream. Delightful. Okay, our sugar is starting to smoke. We're gonna hit it with milk, and then I'm gonna rinse out these containers with water. so that we dilute the milk a little bit. This is just one method for me to rinse out the milk containers while diluting the chai down. And two birds with one stone. I don't waste any water and I don't waste any milk that might be left in the container. And now I have rinsed containers to put into recycling, which might not get recycled, but I'm doing my due diligence just in case, in the fantasy that it does get recycled. Nope, this is whole milk. It is not skim milk. Let's take a break from all the heat over here. Move the phone away from the oven because it was starting to overheat. And we're gonna rip out these shoulder pads. I might use these shoulder pads in a dress that I took the shoulder pads out of originally because the shoulder pads were really run down and threadbare, but the dress does not look great without shoulder pads, so I think this might be a cool thing to sew into that dress when the time comes. But this is a fairly easy thing to detach. It seems to just be sewn on at two crucial places. Ooh, what a poppy jam. Another song hitting you. I love this guy for his very smooth crooner style pop songs. So let me hit you with this link. I'm happier in these lives because I'm not living in a cramped quarter with Aaron, or if it's just because I'm no longer working for a corporate daddy who is anti-union, and still is, very anti-union. I think being free in multiple aspects of my life, including freeing myself from my own prison of identity since my mom's passing, has been a gradual but progressive movement in a peaceful direction for myself to learn what I actually want to do with my life, who I want to be, who I don't want to be, what I want to do, has been it's been an evolution of sorts. How do I find all of my music? I just listen to Spotify. Sometimes it churns a song radio for me and I check it out. Discover Weekly, Release Radar. I listen to all of those. Interesting, Pam. Huh. You feel more whole being by yourself at your own place, or do you think a relationship is key for being self-content? That's hard to say. I think I'm a different person when I'm in a relationship, because when I'm in a relationship, I am reacting and communicating and adjusting and adapting myself to be in close quarters and close existence with another person. I don't think it's like a either or thing. I think it's very much just like, who do I become in that circumstance? I don't really watch mukbang channels. They kind of gross me out a little. It's kind of triggering for my disordered eating and relationship with food too. Because they're all just like all skinny girls eating this massive amount of food, and I'm just like, how the fuck do you do that? Nothing makes sense. This is in the thrifting video with Aaron. It is is Lavon by Cheerful Core. The shell is 100% nylon. It is a large. It is made in Hong Kong. That's all I can tell you. Yeah. I don't remember how much it was, but it's in the video. If you don't remember that jacket and you watch that video, I think it might be time to watch it again, girl. It was a large portion of that video, I think. This is one of the best investments I've ever made from my eBay purchases. I buy a lot of trash on eBay. I'm going to show you all the rings that I bought and earrings that I bought. But this, I believe, was $1, shipped straight from China. I've destroyed many a clothing with this. Okay, we're gonna moisturize our hands, and then I will show you my rings and my earrings. I've heard that Jetta De Laurentiis is not a kind person in person, but that's all hearsay. I've never met her. What in the world gave you that idea? Alright, so this ring you've seen before. I wear it on my ring finger. It's a tighter fit now because I've put on some winter depression weight. This is a size 5 apparently. But apparently this is also a size 5, but it does not fit. So if this were a former June would have been emailing that eBay seller and being like, bro, you lied. This is probably a 4.5 or 4.75. But I've just decided to wear it on my pinky instead. I don't really need to hassle myself like I used to. Curious what I think of Alison Roman. Never met her. Don't have an opinion. She doesn't really vibe with me. We come from very different racial and socioeconomic and cultural backgrounds, so she's not speaking to me, but there are very few people who make food who are popular like her who do speak to me, because the people who are upheld by the successful criteria of current food media are very different from mine. This is my recent purchase. I really like this one a lot. It's sterling. It has like these 3 little bun flowers. They almost look like little bread rolls. Little tiny flower nipples. So here we go. And then the final ring that I bought recently is this one. This one is, they all say it's 5, but it's not all 5 because they don't all fit. This one is way too big for my ring finger, as you can see. So this one fits on my index snugly. has a little stone in it, probably cubic zirconia. Doesn't really have the most luster or sparkle, but I like it. It's toned. Okay, and then here's one earring. It also has cubic zirconia. Oh, I should go stir my beans. And our chai. The milk is probably slightly burning on the bottom of this pot now, so we're just gonna stir it pretty feverishly to make sure nothing is getting stuck. I don't know if I look good in gold. My skin has a slightly warm yellow-green tone to it. I feel like sterling sits pretty nicely against it. Gold, depending on what carat. First of all, gold is way more expensive, and I just don't know if the tone works for me. But I do have some gold pieces, mostly because Mom left a gold ring behind. When I get depressed or anxious or stressed and I just want to find a way to procrastinate, I often go on eBay and just search for used sterling silver jewelry, and I just go on like a binge of sorts in terms of purchasing them. Most of the time I don't bid on anything that's over 15 bucks, shipping included, so I try to keep my purchases budget friendly for the most part. And so here's one earring. I actually don't think this is sterling, because when I tried to clean it with toothpaste, which cleans and polishes your sterling silver, by the way, this didn't do much with the toothpaste. So I actually suspect that the only 925 imprint is on the backing of the earring, not even on the post, just on the backing portion. So this earring might not actually be sterling, which is why I can't wear it on this side, because this side is newer piercing holes that are getting routinely infected, and I don't want to chance it with unspecified metals. But it's very pretty. There is a little bit of a sparkly stone in here. Even though the sparkly stone doesn't always face the outside, I kind of have to turn it around. But the back side of it looks pretty cool too. It has a pretty defined middle school Claire's aesthetic, or limited to aesthetic, with just the outline of the metal bracket. So I like it. It's giving me 9th grade vibes for sure. Oxidized gold. Here's another earring. It's a post earring, and I was like, whoa, this post earring is very strange. I was expecting the post to be perpendicular to the actual earring itself, but it's actually sitting slightly parallel to the earring. So I've never seen this kind of a earring formation, and I thought when I first got it that it was deformed, but I actually think it's meant to be this way. So I'm gonna take this off, ow, and show you what that one looks like. I pierced both of these ears in college, but this one got infected and closed up, and I didn't pierce it until last year. So I've only worn one earring for over a decade of my life, but I got this side pierced, so I actually do have earrings on this side now too. I just never wear the same ones, because what's the point of wearing the same earrings? I don't get it. It's not very exciting, is it? You have 2 holes. Use them for variety. So it is a little heavy. It does drag down my lobe a little bit, but I think it looks cute. It almost looks like it's a gauge, but it's obviously not stretching out a hole in my lobe. It's just dragging my lobe down, but I like it. What do y'all think? It definitely looks better from the side. It doesn't sit flush against the viewer when I face you like this, but I guess it's more like a hoop from this angle. I don't know. It's got two personalities. You do have two holes. Well, I have three holes, you know. So it makes you think of pasta in the best way. Yeah, it kind of does. I am a donut. I would love to be a donut. Everybody loves donuts. People who say they don't like donuts are lying to themselves. And they probably have issues with food and diet, honestly, because I used to avoid donuts a lot because they're fatty and sugary and unhealthy. And then I realized that was just my food fears talking. And donuts are actually great. They're delicious. They're a lovely treat. Ah, yeah. Aaron diet video. That is OG content from the beginning of the pandemic. So here we go. 2 earrings, 3 if you count this one. I don't know how small that band-aid's gonna be, but thank you for the advice. Here's an earring, here's a ring, here's another ring, here's another ring, and here's another ring. I believe the total purchasing price with shipping included for all 5 of these items, there's 2 of these, by the way, I didn't just buy 1 earring, 20, 12, 21, 33, maybe like 40 to 45 bucks for all 5 of these. So not a bad deal in this economy, basically averaging 9 to 10 bucks per. Pretty happy with that. Okay, I'm gonna turn the chai off. It's probably bitter as hell now. Cool. Then we should check on our beans. Check for some softness. It's like chewy. They're not raw, but they're not cooked. You know what I mean? We're going to, actually, let's use this spoon. We're going to stir our onions around a little bit. The outside is getting caramelized, the inside is not, so we just want to make sure everyone's getting along pretty evenly, toasty. And also to redistribute some of the oil, because I did not do a great job of tossing them together when we first started making this. One thing that I found really calming recently in cooking for myself, which is something that I allude to quite a bit in the last video that I just finished filming, is really taking the time to just use the cooking activity as a way of letting myself relax, rather it having be another chore or another job obligation. Just letting it be a time where I can treat myself to not having any objectives other than playing, and hopefully making something nourishing for myself. The mindset is a lot. They talk about this when they mention, you know, exercising, like weight training. They talk about how being mindful of which muscles you're working with that particular movement will make you feel the motion more, will fire up your muscles more. Some trainers call it the mind-body connection. And I feel like intentionality and thinking about what we do for ourselves, for others in life, matters a lot more than we think it does. We might both be cooking right now, but how we look at the act of cooking will affect us greatly in terms of whether or not this is a stressful activity or a relaxing activity. Like if you just came home from work for 12 to 14 hours, including commute, and you have to put something on the table for your family because that's your duty as a homemaker or guardian, that's probably not as relaxing as I have the privilege of doing for myself right now, which is I don't need to cook, but I'm choosing to cook. So this all comes down to what we can afford, right? Not everybody has the time to afford to themselves this activity. But for those of us who can actually afford it, why do we choose not to do it? Because I do believe there is a big portion of the population who can, in fact, afford to take time for themselves, but don't. So what is the mental mechanism and the psychology of not? That's fascinating to think about. Ooh, a bit of nutmeg. Interesting. I don't know if I have nutmeg in there. The roasted onions, they're just a topping, you know, they're something to have on hand. I treat roasted veggies like a component that is ready for me to use. Think about it in the way that you might think about canned vegetables, frozen vegetables. Think about it in the way that you might think about condiments and sauces. Roasted veggies, depending on what you season it with, depending on how heavily you salted it, depending on how heavily you oiled it, those can all turn into a main, a side, a condiment, a component, an ingredient. So once it's cooked, I can do many things with it. It doesn't really matter. It's just like any other thing. It's just like peanut butter or flour or canned beans. It can go in a stir fry, it can go in a soup, it can go on the side, it can be microwaved, it can be turned into a sauce. So, you know, I'm just roasting it so that it's one less step to cooking the next time I use it. Batch cooking, batch prepping, basically. Because I don't want to cook an onion from raw every time I want to use an onion. Sometimes I just want to have the onion ready to go for a recipe, especially if I don't have time to cook every day. Okay, catch you later. Okay, I think our beans are mostly cooked. I'm going to drain this a little bit. This is our mung beans. What would I cook for a family affair? I don't have a family, so I don't know. I don't think about cooking for families. That seems like a very personal and loaded question because whose family am I cooking for? What does this family like to eat? What do they not like to eat? How many people are there? What meal is this? What occasion is this? So that seems like a very vague question to me. If you want to specify it, I can theorize what I would be more likely to cook in that scenario, but I normally just cook what I cook, and then whoever gets to eat it or not. They just have to deal with my stupid weird shit and experiments all the time. Beggars can't be choosers. That was one of Aaron's most favorite sayings to me when we first met. I find it hilarious. Stop beating down on Pam. Is there anything I missed about being in a relationship? Sure, of course. It's nice to have someone here sometimes, you know, to talk to do things with, to parallel play. Is that what people like to use now, that phrase, parallel play? It's nice to have a body sometimes, just to feel not lonely. But I also don't miss having to, like, negotiate my sound output and behaviors. Like, I love being able to fart and not have to affect anyone else except me, and I love not having to tell him to turn the music down, and I love not having to yell at him to get out of the kitchen because I need to film something. Like, pros and cons, right? As with all things. Okay, we're gonna go in with a little bit of salt, just a tad. And then we're gonna go in with a little bit of sugar, probably a lot. I would say half a cup for now. I can add more later. And then we're gonna start streaming in the milk after the sugar is melted. Is Pam new? Pam, are you new? I have no idea what the Dylan Bud Light controversy is. I don't pay attention to shit. I don't have space in my life to pay attention to shit. Ooh, yep, we got curdled milk. We're not using that. Sorry, Grandma. I tasted one of these curdled milks in the video. I won't spoil anything for you. Let's just say it wasn't pretty. Some people think it's too manly for a trans woman. Sounds like people need to, like, concentrate on other shit in their lives. Who cares? You're selling out to Bud Light. Whatever, man. Who cares? I don't give a shit. I won't spoil anything, but let's just say that it was inedible the last time I tried this curdled milk. Here's the thing about the internet, guys. If you dish it, you have to be sure you can take it, right? Like, you're not just speaking out into a vacuum, and I can't control everything. I can try to mitigate reactions if I want to, but it's also not my responsibility. You are hopefully an adult, and you are in control of your own verbalizations on public platforms, and you have to be ready to have other people respond to that if you're going to put yourself out there. It's very much something that I've learned, for sure. So I've negotiated coping mechanisms and my reactions accordingly. But nobody owes you anything, and you don't deserve anything. So it's all a matter of luck of the draw, right? If you have kind people in the audience who want to give you the benefit of the doubt and attribute good affirmative intentions to what you say, then lucky you. But sometimes the internet doesn't turn out that way. Yeah, could be a language barrier. I don't know. I don't know what we're arguing here. I'm not arguing about anything. I'm just saying I don't really care about who's doing commercials for Bud Light, because I don't drink Bud Light, and I don't really support Bud Light because it tastes like crap, and they probably are big enough to not be a good company. So who gives a shit? All right, I'm gonna turn my oven off. It is very hot. I think our sweet potatoes are done. I think our onions are getting cooked. Do I support trans people if they're nice? Do I support people if they're nice? Trans people are people. Just because you're trans doesn't make you automatically an angel. I don't support all trans people. I don't hate all trans people either. It depends on who you are. Being trans is just one part of your identity. Let that not define all of you. Sorry, stop shouting at you. You can tap out of the conversation anytime. You don't have to respond. Don't try to, like, tell me what to do. Here's what I've learned. You are always in control of your own actions. But you cannot expect to control other people. Some people just really like being agitators. I get it. Hey, as long as these lives bring you joy in some fashion, form, great. I've done my job as an entertainer. These are great. These are very nicely soft. Yeah, and they're caramelized. Look at these little pools of burnt sugar. Mmm. Either Pam is like really overwhelmed or Pam is really delighted at all the attention. I can't tell. You can never tell. It's the internet. And sometimes in real life you can't really tell either because people are hard to read. Okay, in our final moment. Oh, Pam loves it. Yay, that makes me very happy. I'm gonna eat some leftover lasagna. What a strange comeback live after 10 days. You will see this lasagna featured in the long video. Yum. All right, y'all. We don't have to project our impressions of what Pam's intentions are onto all people onto many people from the LGBTQ community. Let's not do that. I'm gonna make us reconsider that move over there. I don't know if I like it. I saw the watch 5 months ago and I wanted to get it, but you aren't with Delish. I'm not sure what that means, Curls by Nat. Are you talking about this watch? What does that have to do with me being with Delish? Oh, Anna. Anna, step back. Step back from the ledge. Let's not generalize people by one facet of their identity, please. I don't like it. I do not like this. No one should represent a whole community. No one should have that burden, and no community should have to have one person represent them like that. Look at this gorgeous lasagna. We don't have to like keep the chat nice, but I would like to just reconsider what we're actually thinking here. How we tend to box ourselves into labels, and how we project ourselves into the labels and project labels onto others, and how that is really just creating a feedback loop of imprisoning ourselves into personas and identities that we don't need to imprison ourselves into. We don't need to create any sort of dislike or friction, right? And I am going to put extra not bolognese sauce on there after it reheats. I've been using my dishwasher twice a week. It is veggie lasagna, yes. I have some not bolognese sauce in here that is made with TVP. So no meat, just TVP. Oh, this is creating splatters in my nicely white microwavey. Let's think about what flavors we want that bean cream soup. TVP is textured vegetable protein. It's mostly soy. You can Google. It looks like little dried crunchies that you rehydrate, and it looks like ground meat. Hmm. 10-minute warning. Thank you, Amy. This is very hot. I'm going to put it on this tray. And I'm going to pour some sauce. The top portion, this little poop nugget looking thing, is actually a cashew cream made with roasted cabbage and asparagus. I'm not going to give away too much, but I do love it. I love how this turned out. There is cheese, indeed. There is not only cheese, there is also ground walnuts in the cheese because I didn't have enough cheese to like make it really rich and substantial, so I added some ground walnuts too, and there's like a whole roasted garlic clove right here. I know you don't mean to offend anyone, Anna. I think maybe Europeans are a little more homophobic. I don't know how to say it, but maybe it's a language barrier, maybe. But I think the way that we lump people together into stereotypes is just not very productive or accurate. Yum. Mm-hmm. Carrots, potato, and salad. I love it. Is it roasted? Is it roasted carrots and potatoes? Is it mashed carrots and potatoes? Oh my gosh. Carrot mash. Yeah, maybe. The media is responsible for a lot of stereotypes. Just know that the media does not represent everyone. The media is very biased. The media has an agenda. The media exists to sell you shit, to sell you ideas so it can sell you shit. And you don't have to buy it. You don't have to consume it. Just know that they make it so that they have something to sell. Oh my gosh, chocolate cake with orange flavored tahini and vanilla ice cream. Living it up. That sounds delicious. I also want to show you pickles that I made. You will also see this in the video, but they're really quite good. Let's be honest, I think it's a very fraught issue of at what age can kids make decisions for themselves. But unfortunately, we don't have very standardized assessment for how healthy parents are. Some parents are really fucked up. Some parents are not kind people. Some parents carry a lot of trauma and twisted logic that they then perpetuate further trauma onto their kids. Some parents are bullies. Some parents are damaged people who don't know how to heal themselves, and so all they know how to do is to cover up their own trauma by projecting onto their kids. Some people are abusive. Some parents are abusive. And so at what point do we say kids can make their own decisions? At what point do we say parents shouldn't control their kids? This is another reason why I choose not to be a parent. I don't want to fuck with someone else's life like that. I don't want to be a judgment of morality and ability and rationality, because I don't think those things are real. So it should be on a case-by-case basis, but unfortunately our society does not allow for that kind of variation because it's just not easy to control, and our society is all about control. So in terms of bodily autonomy, not only kids, but adults don't have that autonomy, right? We have peer pressure, we have laws, we have several different kinds of structures in place to prohibit us from doing what we want to do, doing what we need to do, doing what we have no choice but to, and they end up punishing us for doing what we need to do to exist. And so, you know, boiling over. I think we need to put some cinnamon, nutmeg. No, farm school starts at 6. But thank you for your concern. We're also gonna go in with some cloves. I could find it. And I'm gonna pop into Star Anise. Oh, it's a sweet thing. I really don't want cumin in my sweet beans, but thank you for your suggestion. I mean, maybe kids should be allowed to drink before 22 because I know a lot of them do. It's just a law that they can't, but that doesn't mean they don't do it, right? Also, drinking is like really detrimental to a lot of your organs and doesn't do much except to alter you temporarily. But gender identity, that kind of dysmorphia, it's not really an option the way alcohol is. It's not, it involves drugs, obviously, but the intention and the purpose is not at all, I think, the same, right? We have to look at, let's not look at this from the point of view of choice. Let's look at it from the point of view of, are they living a secure life? But I don't really want to argue with strangers on the internet about trans rights. I'm not trans. I don't identify as such. I don't want to speak for anyone who is, so I don't find it very productive for me to engage in this conversation. I just want us to be aware of how we think and what we're thinking and how that affects how we treat other people. I really don't think it's my place to tell anyone else what to do and what not to do with their lives. I'm just glad that I don't have to make that difficult decision, either as a parent or as someone who identifies as trans. I'm privileged enough to not have to struggle with the ability to define myself through taboos, through restrictions, and that's all I'll say on that. It's not really that confusing, y'all. It's because we place such an emphasis on gender and sex that we've made it this big taboo thing to fuck with our bodies like this, to change our bodies like this. But, you know, we've come a long way in terms of fucking with our bodies, in terms of owning our bodies, in terms of abusing our bodies or transforming our bodies. And depending on whose perspective you support, abuse and transformation can be two sides of the same coin. Sweet bean soup with milk. You know how they say power corrupts? I think it's the same thing with me and not being a parent. I can only see this clearly as a unparticipating third person. If I were to become a parent, I would probably change my opinions a lot. So in order for me to hold on to my value system and my beliefs, I cannot become a parent. Not a biological one, at least. I've said before if I'm ever financially stable enough and emotionally stable enough and settled in my life enough that I feel ready to take on animals or kids, I would adopt, for sure. I'll leave you with one last song. I think what Anna said last is again a cultural thing. I think a lot of other cultures are more open to commenting on people's weights and appearances, but I have said before on these lives I don't like those comments. They can be very triggering for me, so that's why I won't respond. Here's your last song of the day. I hope you've enjoyed this live. I wouldn't say it's rude, but I would just say by framing, again, there is something of a disconnect in the way we say things and how it glosses over our thought patterns. In complimenting me on how skinny I am, you're by default saying skinny is good. How do you achieve this good? I don't want to agree that skinny is good because this is a statement and a judgment that has ruined my self-image quite a lot over the years because of my body image issues and my disordered eating. By framing skinny as good, it is a perpetuation of fat phobia, and it makes me very uncomfortable because I will gain weight as I age. My body will shift as I age. I will not always be this skinny. I will not always be this fit. And when I lose the fitness and the skinniness, I will start to feel bad for myself because I've spent my entire life upholding this belief that skinny is good. And that's why these comments are triggering for me, because they seem like a compliment, but they're really saying a judgment, a value judgment. So in terms of how I look the way I look, it's a mixture. As with all things in life, it's never just one thing. I have very unhealthy eating patterns, mentally speaking, practically speaking, physically speaking, but how I look is a mixture of my genetics, my habits, my exercise, but mostly genetics. And just because you think my body looks good doesn't mean I think my body looks good. And by listening to statements of other people passing any sort of judgment, positive or negative, on my body, creates this discomfort of cognitive dissonance for me. I'm not saying you can't say what you said. I'm just simply saying that what you said doesn't make me feel good. Even though your intentions might have been pure, the wording and the thought pattern behind your words and your good intentions are kind of toxic. And I'm not saying you're a toxic person. I'm just saying these beliefs can become toxic over time when culture reinstates them as truths. They're just an opinion. They are not truth, but we have whole industries built on these opinions that then solidify them and cement them into truths. And then we have it leak into our medical healthcare system and how doctors treat their patients. We have whole scientific studies. Thank you. But yeah, okay, I'm off to farm school. Peace, okay? Try not to fight with each other, but most of all, try not to fight with yourself. Because at the end of the day, you're always gonna have to go to sleep with yourself. Stay hydrated.